What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to another video and to the channel. So in this video I just wanted to discuss some information about my F30 335i. So if you've been following the channel and the build, you know that I am full bolt-on. For those of you that are new here, I have a 2014 BMW 335i with the N55 engine, and I just recently went full bolt-on with an intake, a high-flow catted downpipe, a charge pipe, and an upgraded intercooler that's a little bit bigger than the stock one. And I just installed a flash tune to bring all that together to officially become full bolt-on and get a really nice increase in horsepower. So I just figured I'd share with you guys how much each of those parts cost, and then the total cost of how much it cost me to go full bolt-on. And maybe any of you out there who are thinking about going full bolt-on on your F30 N55, I just kind of wanted to give you guys an idea of how much it's going to cost. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. So for the first thing here, the charge pipe. I got a charge pipe from CTS Turbo. It's basically an aluminum one, a metal one, to replace the plastic one that is prone to breaking, especially when you're tuned and the pressure's higher. So it's always a good idea to upgrade all those like charge pipe, turbo outlet pipe, all those pipes that, you know, redirect air back into the intake, because there's a chance they could break, especially if you're tuned. I've heard of it even happening when the car is just completely stock. It still manages to just break. So it's a good idea to replace that charge pipe. This charge pipe that I got from CTS Turbo cost me $198. This was the cheapest thing out of all of the parts to go full bolt-on. Along with the charge pipe, I also have an upgraded intercooler from CTS Turbo also. That intercooler cost me $383. If you're gonna go stage 2 and you're gonna get a downpipe, it's a good idea to upgrade your intercooler. That air is definitely going to get hotter quicker, so it needs to be cooled just as fast. So that's why you definitely want to get an upgraded intercooler. I installed both of these at the same time, and I have a video on how to install these. If you want to check that out, I'll add it up in the pop-out banner, the card thing, if you want to know or see how to install both of those parts. The next thing is my cold air intake, also from CTS Turbo. This intake cost me $264. Adding an intake doesn't necessarily give you a significant amount of power, but the main thing that what I like about it is just it has such a nice sound. Since my car is on stage 2, like, it just sounds so nice. There's all sorts of intake noises and turbo noises. It just makes the car sound awesome. I definitely recommend getting an intake if you're going to go full bolt-on. I also have a video for this one on how to install it if you want to check that out. So the next thing I have is a high-flow catted downpipe from CTS Turbo. Once again, all of the parts that I got were from CTS Turbo. But the high-flow catted downpipe for the electronic wastegate, since mine is a 2014, cost me $380. You can also get a catless downpipe from them also if you want to go completely catless. I didn't want to go completely catless because I didn't like how it sounds, so I just went with high-flow cat. I thought there would be no smell, but there is still a kind of strong exhaust smell even with the high-flow catted downpipe. I would assume it's worse with the catless downpipe, but it is still there. But for me, it was just the sound mainly, and I think it sounds really good with the high-flow catted downpipe. I'm still working on the exhaust, what I'm going to do with the exhaust setup in terms of making it a little bit louder, what I want to do. I'm still figuring that out. That's probably the only thing that I'm kind of missing here, I guess, for it to be completely full bolt-on. But I mean, the exhaust doesn't really give you any really significant performance gains. It's mainly the downpipe, but I'm talking about like the muffler and the resonator and all that. If you do get the catalyst, you'll probably get a little bit more power gains than if you get the high flow cat, because there's still a level of restriction, just not nearly as much as there was in the stock downpipe. So either one, can work. You'll get a pretty nice increase in power gains. Just kind of depends what you want in the exhaust sound and the smell and all that, and your emissions for your state if that's an issue. And here in California, they're very strict, so the high flow cat still isn't technically legal, but I mean, I'll probably just switch it out once I need to do like an emissions test or whatever. I do also have a video on how to install a downpipe, the CTS turbo downpipe for the catless or high flow cat. It's pretty much the same process. I'll probably put it in the pop out banner or the card option that'll pop out at the corner of the video if you want to check out that video. Now the last thing here is the tune. I decided to go with boot mode, which is basically a flash tune. There's all sorts of tunes you could do. I just went with boot mode because it seemed like the most convenient and the easiest, and you can switch it back to stock whenever you want just by simply hooking up your laptop to the car with a OBD2 to Ethernet cable, and it only takes like less than 10 minutes to flash. To do that, you have to get a license from boot mode for whatever engine you have. I have the N55, so if you're getting an N55, you're going to want to get an N55 license. That license costs $595. Kind of pricey, but I mean, I think it's worth it. You get a very nice increase in power gains, and like I said, you can just simply flash it from home on your laptop with the OBD2 to Ethernet cable. Definitely recommend it. I made a video on how to do that too, if you want to check that out on how to do that. So the total cost for all of those parts, basically to go full bolt-on, it cost me $1,470. Now the cost will vary depending where you get your parts from. As you saw, I got all my parts from CTS Turbo, and all the parts are pretty cheap, I think, on the cheaper end. However, like, their quality was still just fine, the fitment was just fine. I didn't have any issues whatsoever for any of the parts that I installed on my N55. Everything was great. But like, for example, I remember before I actually bought the downpipe, I was researching like downpipes from a few different companies. I came across, I think it was Wagner Tuning, I'm not 100% sure, but their high flow catted downpipe was like $800 or $700, around there. It was a lot more than what I paid for the CTS turbo downpipe. That one was only $380, as I stated, basically half the price. But everything was fine, the quality was just fine. I'm not sure why theirs was so much more expensive. Maybe it was better at, preventing the check engine light, maybe. I don't know, honestly. But CTS Turbo's high flow catted downpipe was just fine. So yeah, this price will vary a few $100 less or more, just depending where you get your parts from or what kind of tune you get. I got boot mode, $595, which is kind of expensive. But if you could do like JB4, which I think is a little bit cheaper, I'm not 100% sure, I haven't really looked into it that much. But there's a bunch of tuning options out there. MHD, I'm honestly not sure how much that one costs. But I just thought boot mode was the most convenient, like I said. So I would say around $1,500 is what you're gonna spend to go full bolt-on on an F30 N55. And honestly, I think that's fully worth what it costs. I haven't dynoed it yet. I'm trying to find a place to dyno my car to see the power gains. But from what I've seen, you get around 80 horsepower and 100 torque, which I think is excellent. That's a lot. And you definitely feel it when your first drive after flashing the tune, after you installed all the parts. I definitely felt a huge jump in power. This thing feels like a monster. And I know there's still not that much compared to other cars in the BMW community and in the car community. It's still not that much. That only comes out to about maybe 380, 390 horsepower and then like 400, 410 torque. But that's pretty fast for the average car. Like, you're definitely faster than the average car on the road, and you can definitely have some fun driving around. Just, drive responsibly and safely. Don't put anyone else in danger. For comparison here, I know a lot of you also, if you're watching this, follow me for my other car, my other BMW, which is a 2009 320i with the N52. I do have a few performance mods on that car also. I have an active AutoWork software tune and a 3-stage intake manifold and an intake. That cost me around like $1,000 for all that, but you only get like around 30 horsepower, which isn't that much. The car feels faster than what it was stock, but it's still like not nearly that fast as like this car or the other cars. So like, it's kind of the horsepower to cost ratio for what you get. This one is definitely worth it, way more balanced than that car, I would say. So hey guys, I just wanted to share that with you guys. Maybe some of you out there on YouTube are interested in knowing how much it would cost. Only around $1,500 to get 80 horsepower, 100 torque. I'm gonna try to get some actual like concrete like dyno numbers at some point. I don't know when. For some reason in Southern California there's like no places that have a dyno. So I'm trying to just find somewhere. There has to be someone somewhere that has a dyno. So I'm gonna try to get some actual numbers for you guys to see how much my specific car makes. But that 80 horsepower to 100 torque is just kind of like an average based on what I've seen from other people's dynos with pretty much the same mods online. I'll link down all of the parts that I mentioned if by any chance you want to check those out. I'll also link down the installation videos for all these parts if you want to check those out also. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to comment them down below. And if you have any feedback or any suggestions for future mods on my F30, feel free to drop those also. But anyway, I will see you guys in the next video.